Welcome everyone. Happy World Menopause Month. That's what we're celebrating right now. And today we're going to cover a few things. I'm going to talk about the question I get all the time. Why is it that I'm gaining weight when I haven't changed my diet? I haven't changed my exercise. I'm still doing everything the same, but the weight keeps creeping up ever since I reached 35, 40, 45, 50. It happens to different women at different ages, but there is something we can do. So we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to share with you my hormone horror story and what got me into working with women who are in perimenopause, menopause, and beyond, why I'm so passionate about it. I've got asked that several times this week. So I wanted to share that with all of you because this is what World Menopause Month is about. It's about sharing stories and normalizing hormone imbalance, normalizing the stages of life that women go through, because every single female on this planet will go through menopause. But the good news is none of us actually have to suffer. None of us have to deal with the frustrating symptoms because there's things we can do. And that's what our practice is all about. That's what our Healthy Hormone Club is all about. So we're going to talk about that. And then of course, I'm going to answer your questions. So if you're watching live, you know, the question box, the Q&A box is where you want to go. If you're watching on YouTube or you're watching after the fact, please put your questions below because I do read every comment and I do answer every question. So do that. So let's go ahead and jump in. So first thing we're going to cover the weight gain. What exactly is happening? Why is it that all your life, you've been able to eat a certain way and work out a certain way? I mean, nobody's perfect. Maybe you go to the gym a few times a week. Maybe you like to run. Maybe you do ballet or yoga, but you do your thing and you've been able to maintain your weight all along. You fit in your clothes, everything's fine. Sure, maybe you gain a few pounds, maybe you go on a vacation and you gain a few pounds, but you know what to do to lose that weight back. And most women have a pretty decent time handling their weight, give or take a few pounds. However, once we hit our 30s, our late 30s, our 40s, and definitely our 50s, stuff starts to change. Those tricks that we used to use, they're not working anymore. We're working out more, we're eating less, and the weight keeps creeping up. Why is this? Well, there's several things at play. Some of it's hormonal, a lot of it's hormonal actually, but there's also some other things at play, such as our mitochondria, which are energy producers of our cells. They're not as efficient anymore. And some of that does have to do with hormone decline because estrogen helps to fuel our mitochondria. And then also we may not be doing as much non-exercise activity. So what that means is we just may not be as active because we might be tired more and we might not be sleeping due to hot flashes of night sweats, insomnia, stress. And then when we don't sleep, so sleep is a big part of it. So when we don't sleep, our metabolism can drop by 10%. Our hunger hormones, our leptin and our ghrelin, those get all jacked up. So now we're hungrier more often. We're eating more. Our blood sugar doesn't respond the same way. And our bodies, our primitive body that has not evolved that much from the caveman days, knows that it's tired. And it also knows that sugar provides energy. So what do? We crave more sugar. And we end up picking and eating little things that we're not even realizing that we're doing. A handful of this, a gummy bear here, some goldfish crackers there. And those of you who are moms, you know what I'm talking about, or have grandkids. And it all kind of adds up. And so we have that, the sleep issue. And then we have the hormone decline. So we've got estrogen. Estrogen goes down as we hit perimenopause, it starts to drop. As we hit menopause, it goes off the cliff. So we're kind of going like this, and then menopause, boom. And so when our estrogen goes down and it drops off that cliff, our inflammation goes up, our blood sugar regulation gets messed up, and our body becomes a better fat storer. Why in the heck would we be a better fat storer when our estrogen goes down? It's because estrogen is needed by the body for a lot of different processes, for our bone health, for our brain health, for our heart health. And the one way your body knows to make estrogen when your ovaries aren't doing it is for it to make fat cells. Fat cells can produce a weak form of estrogen known as estrone. So estrone doesn't do all the things that we know estrogen to do. It doesn't really protect our bones. It doesn't really protect our heart. It doesn't really protect our brain from dementia and Alzheimer's. It doesn't help us with the hot flashes. But what it does do is if you get enough estrone, a small amount of that can convert over to estradiol. So your body gets really good at storing fat, especially around the midsection. That's one thing. Another reason why we gain weight is because when our testosterone drops, and in some respects our estrogen, because estrogen is anabolic, it helps to build muscle. So is testosterone, it helps to put on muscle. We often associate testosterone with big muscular men working out at the gym, but women need testosterone as well. And when testosterone drops, it's harder for us to put on lean muscle. So even if we're going to the gym and working out, we may not be seeing the results. We're not getting that muscle maintenance. And so we lose about 2% of our muscle mass per year on average. That's all adults across the board. So if we're still exercising the same, we're still eating the same, we're going to lose that 2% of our muscle mass. And the problem with that is that muscle at rest burns more calories than any other type of body tissue. So if you have more muscle on your body, you're going to burn more calories just sitting there than somebody who doesn't have that muscle mass on their body. So if you're losing 2% per year, then that's 2% less calorie burning muscle mass that you have just from not doing anything. So what can you do? What are these things that you can do to prevent that, reverse that? Number one thing that all women can do is increase your protein. So increasing the number of grams of protein that you eat per day is going to do a couple of things. Number one, the act of eating and digesting protein burns about 20 to 25% of the calories that it actually has in it. So if you eat 100 calories of protein, you're only going to get 75 calories net because your body burns that 25 just in the process of digesting it. So that's number one. So you get less calories per ounce with protein, where carbohydrates and fat only burns like 0 to 2 calories, and carbs only burn like 4 to 8 calories in that ballpark. So protein has the most calorie burning thermogenic effect of food is what it's called. So that's number one. Two, protein is the building blocks of our muscle. So if you eat more protein, it's easier for your body to build that muscle and maintain that muscle so you don't lose it, and you have a higher resting metabolism. That's number two. Number three is you don't have to exercise more, but what you can do is you can exercise differently. So I'll share my story later, but when I switched from running, like I'd run every day, I loved to run, I did marathons and triathlons. When I switched from running on a regular basis to running once in a while and doing Pilates and doing strength training, so actually lifting weights, my body changed. My cellulite went away, and I was able to maintain a leaner, sexier, more kind of toned figure than when I was just doing cardio. So definitely lifting weights and lifting heavy weights, not the pink dumbbells. Ladies, put down the pink dumbbells. Stop it with the pink dumbbell. You have to lift a weight that is heavy, too heavy for you to do 15 times. So if you're doing like overhead presses or bicep curls, once you get to 12, it should be super hard. And then you might be able to do 13 or 14, but 15 is going to be too hard. So you have to pick a weight that is that heavy. I don't want to see you doing things that you can just do all day. That's not really going to do anything, and you're going to waste your time. And you're not going to build that muscle that's going to burn those calories. So those are a couple of things you can do right now. Stress reduction is another big one. So when we are stressed, our body will create more cortisol. Cortisol can lead to insulin resistance, and that can lead to more belly fat. So that's another issue. And then hormone replacement therapy is super helpful to facilitate all of these things. So you don't want to do hormone replacement therapy instead of lifting weights and instead of eating protein, but you want to do it in addition, because that will help you automatically. It's going to increase your estrogen. So it's going to allow you to not keep storing that fat. It's going to bring your blood sugar to a regulated amount. It's going to reduce inflammation. It's boosting your testosterone. It's going to help with maintaining lean muscle mass, giving you energy, any healthy progesterone level. It's going to help you sleep better, going to help your moods. So all of those things play into your weight and this extra fat that you're having. So it is entirely possible to lose that fat and maintain lean muscle in menopause and beyond. So hopefully that is helpful for you guys. I'm going to see if I have any questions right now. I'm going to answer the couple questions right now. So I have a question about wild yam cream. Is it a good bioidentical hormone replacement option? And does it replace only progesterone or also estrogen? So if you see a cream on the market that's marketed as a wild yam cream, that contains no hormones at all. Now, bioidentical hormones are derived from a chemical compound inside of the wild yam, but that compound has to be extracted and then it has to be turned into bioidentical progesterone, bioidentical estrogen, or bioidentical testosterone. So once that happens, there's no more yam in that compound. Now it is progesterone or is testosterone. The reason why you can do that is because the diosgenin, which is a component inside of the yam, that has the same chemical backbone structure as our human hormones, and they have to remove some of the carbons and some of the little tails on the chemical structure. If you remember science class, there was all those little kind of octagons with the tails and grouped together. And when you had different groupings, you had different compounds, you had different substances, different chemicals. And so in order to make it a hormone, it has to be, the tails have to be removed in the lab. And so if you rub wild yam cream on your skin or you eat wild yams, you're not getting any hormones. Has to be changed in the hormones. So hopefully that's helpful. And if it's real hormones, you're going to see on the label, it'll say USP, United States Pharmacopoeia. That means that it's actually proven that it's hormones. And then it'll say whichever hormone it is. USP progesterone, USP estradiol, USP estriol, USP DHEA, USP testosterone. So they'll say what it is right on the bottle. So don't be fooled by these wild yam supplements. Let's see, I hear the phrase inflammation all the time with respect to menopause. What does inflammation mean and how do we know if we have it? So inflammation, it's exactly as it sounds. So to be inflamed, to be engulfed with fire. So inflammation is a process in the body that is not a bad process. So if we ever get an infection, inflammation is what happens to bring all the nutrients to the area to heal. So inflammation is a normal part of our immune health. However, chronic inflammation can create all types of problems in our body. It is what causes autoimmune conditions. It's what causes insulin resistance, high cholesterol, pretty much every disease you can think of starts with some inflammation that gets out of control. So we don't want chronic inflammation. Now, in relation to menopause, estrogen is very anti-inflammatory, so it reduces inflammation. So when we lose our estrogen, our inflammation goes up. And this is why we start to get damage to our blood vessels. This is why we start to have cholesterol rise. This is why we're more prone to diabetes. And this is why we notice weight gain happening, because all of those are part of the inflammation cascade. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see, I know you expressed the importance of topical application for bioidentical hormones. I heard other bioidentical hormone providers disagree. They believe DHEA is best absorbed taken orally. Can you share any thoughts on this debate? From my experience, DHEA topically is you're going to get more of a conversion to testosterone, whereas DHEA orally, it'll get sulfated very quickly and will not convert to testosterone as much. It's fine to take it orally. We just, in our practice, we use it topically. It has less side effects. It also doesn't matter if you have any gut or liver issues, because topical hormones go directly into the bloodstream, into the tissues. So you're not putting any stress on your liver and you're not losing a lot if you have any gut or absorption issues. So that's kind of why we like to use it in our practice. Awesome. All right, I want to share with you now, a few people have asked me, and I think it's important to kind of share our stories a little bit. So I won't take too long, but I just want to share with you my kind of hormone horror story. And I want to start off by just asking you to think of like something in your life that you've always wanted. Like something that you strove for, something that you really, really want and you're working towards. And then if you have that in your mind, it could be a job, it could be a career, it could be a house or uh, a relationship. But that thing in your mind that you really, really want and you've always dreamed about and you're working towards, imagine someone telling you that there's no way you can ever have it. It's out of your control. There's nothing you can do. You're just not going to get it. And the feeling, like the pit, the emptiness in your stomach and that feeling of like despair, that's how I felt when I was 20 years old. Because when I was 20 years old, I was a college athlete. I was a straight A student. I was on scholarship to college and I was running track. And one day I passed out on the track. And I passed out on the track because I hadn't been eating. And the reason why I hadn't been eating is because I had horrible digestive issues where I just would not be able to run if I ate, because every time I ate something, I was really cramped up. I would get diarrhea and constipation kind of alternately. So I had really IBS type symptoms. And so I would go, because track practice, if you're on scholarship at my college, you had practice in the early AMs around 6 a.m. And then you went to your classes and then you had practice again at 3 or 4 p.m. And so I knew that from experience that if I ate at any time during that day, I would have horrible digestive issues while on the track. And I don't have to say it all the way out, but I would basically poop my pants while I'm running. And so I would go all day not eating. I was highly stressed. I was taking a lot of OTC medications. I was taking like 6 to 12 ibuprofens before each practice, so twice a day, just to be able to run because my joints hurt so bad. I was taking Tums every time I ate. I was taking laxatives to help me go to the bathroom. I was taking things to help me stop going to the bathroom. I was taking sleeping pills. I was taking caffeine pills to wake me up. So I was a mess. Anyway, I pass out on the track and I get taken to the university clinic. They run some tests. They hydrate me, give me IV, and they tell me everything looks fine. You're fine. You can go home. And so, I'm like, what do you mean everything's fine? It doesn't make sense to me. And so I went back the next day and I kind of just like sat there and cried to the nurses. And I told them all about everything I was taking and all the pain that I had and how I only had periods like 3 times a year, but I had cramps and a horrible pain every month. And it was all these symptoms that I knew I had, that something was definitely wrong with me. I told them I felt like I was dying. And so they referred me to a local doctor, and the local doctor did more tests. They actually ran my hormones. They ran a bunch of different blood tests to see if I had any type of disease. They did say I had a lot of inflammation, but they came back like 7 days later, I want to say, and they called me and they said, hey, we want you to come into the office. So I came into the office and I remember the doctor walked in and he said, hey, you're not looking to have any children, are you? And I'm thinking, holy shit, am I pregnant? And I'm like, I wasn't even having sex. So, that goes through your head when you're like, I was 19 years old. So it goes through your head like, oh my God, am I pregnant? And I wasn't even like sexually active at the time. But after he said that, he's like, because having children is not going to be in the cards for you. And I just looked at him like, oh, I'm not planning to have kids anytime soon. I'm just a kid myself. I'm going to go through college. I'm going to get a job. Then I'm going to get married. Then I'm going to have kids. And he said, no, you're not going to have kids because you have ovarian failure. And I'm like, what does that mean? It said, it means your ovaries have failed. So you're basically in menopause. So I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't really understand what he was saying, that it was like a permanent thing. I thought I was just going to like eat better and, take some medicine and then I'd get better. And I asked some more questions and basically he said, no, we're going to give you antidepressants. We're going to give you a birth control pill and then give me some pain medicine. They gave me something like gabapentin. It was called something else at the time, to help with nerve pain. And they sent me on my way. And I was thinking like, I'm just a child. Like I can't even vote yet. And they're telling me I'm in menopause. I'm not going to be able to ever have kids. And I was just so confused. But I did realize when I went to the university library, I looked up menopause, I looked up ovarian failure, I looked up a lot of those symptoms. the joint pain. I was losing hair. I was starting to develop fat pockets in areas that I didn't think I should have, especially since I was running every single day. I had headaches. I did have brain fog. I had a real hard time. I studied so much for my classes. I had a real hard time remembering things after I took the test. What else did I have? I had digestive issues, of course. I just felt like an old person in a young person's body. And so I went to many other doctors, and they look at me first when I came in because I was young. I appeared healthy. And they'd look at me and they'd be like, oh, well, we can totally help you. And then they look at my chart and they'd see I had ovarian failure and they'd be like, oh, well, what you're experiencing is normal and you're just going to have to manage the symptoms. And they would give me another medication and another medication. And nobody actually ever explained much to me. But I kind of kept searching and I found a nutritionist, actually, of all things, who took me off of gluten and took me off of dairy. And those things actually did make me feel a little bit better. And it turned out I had celiac and I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis that I didn't know about, and a bunch of other issues once I went back to school to become a naturopathic physician. And the reason why I did that is because my dad told me, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And I had gone to so many different doctors. I'd gone to chiropractors and Reiki practitioners and Chinese herbal medicine and Ayurvedic doctors. And I went to anybody who said that they can do something for me. And I always got a little bit better, but then a little bit worse. And nothing really moved the needle for me. And all this time, I'm still having all these symptoms. I'm starting to have hot flashes. I'm starting to have cold flashes where I'm freezing and then I'm hot. So I was a mess. And I was losing a lot of hair, the whole sides of my hair was gone. I never wore my hair in a ponytail anymore because it was all kind of gone on the side of my eyebrows. Still to this day, these are not my real eyebrows. I have to draw them in because I lost most of my eyebrow, and that was due to Hashimoto's that I didn't find out I had until my third year of medical school when I ran all the tests on myself. And I found out I had heavy metal toxicity. I had parasites, multiple parasites, leaky gut, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and a whole bunch of other issues. Plus my hormones were in the tankers, mainly because I was on birth control pill this whole time. And also I had a lot of nutrient deficiencies because I was on the 90s style healthy eating, which is basically fat-free. So I had my Diet Coke and my fat-free everything. And so I started changing. I started running less, doing more weights, doing yoga. I started eating a lot of healthy fats, so omega-3 fatty acids, salmon, avocados, coconut oil. I couldn't eat olive oil because olive oil made me not feel good, but I found out later I had a little bit of a sensitivity to it, but avocado oil was really good. And I just kind of started taking care of my gut, working on that. And I knew that at least I can feel better. I might not be able to have children, but at least I can feel better. And as I started healing the gut and detoxing, getting rid of the heavy metals and the other toxins, I started getting my period more often, and it was less painful. And fast forward, I'm out of medical school. 10 years later, I meet my husband, who's my husband now, and I tell him, hey, I'm not, you don't want to date me or marry me because I can't have children and you'll never be able to have children with me. So I can't give you a family. So I just want to let you know that up front. And my husband, Jeff, he's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's no big deal, whatever. We'll worry about that later. And I'm like, no, we can't worry about it later because I really can't have kids. And he's like, don't worry about it. So we're dating for about 3 months. He proposes, we're going to get married. We go to Mexico, and all of a sudden I start getting sick in Mexico. And he's like, oh, you're pregnant. And I'm like, no, I can't get pregnant. That's not possible. So we go to the clinic in Mexico, which is a crazy experience because they just have you put your name on a Post-it note, and then they take you back and draw your blood. And it's there's no paperwork whatsoever. But it turned out I was pregnant. I really was pregnant. And I didn't believe him still. So I did more tests, and there I was pregnant. And now here I am. It's almost 40 years old. I'm pregnant, have my son at 40, completely naturally. His name is Paxton. He's 7 years old now. But I understand what it's like. And I still had work to do at that point. And then after I had my son, the postpartum period, that was even crazier because my hormones went completely in the tanker again. And I had to work on it again. But I just wanted to share with you that story because I get what it's like. I get how it feels. And the other thing that really irritates me, and I see all the time from my patients, is that the doctors are not explaining things and they're kind of just telling you it's normal, like how you feel is normal. Oh, you're at that age, you should be feeling this way, you should be feeling that way, you're getting older. And I was told, like, oh, your ovaries have failed, so it's normal for you to have alternating hot sweats and hot flashes and night sweats. And cold flashes. It's normal for your joints to hurt, that you need to take a medication. It's normal for your hair to be falling out. It's normal for you to be tired all the time. But it's not normal. There's nothing normal about it. And if they had just given me hormones to replace the hormones that were missing, I could have not taken all those medications that were really toxic to my liver and required so much work afterwards to detox. And so what I'm saying is, like, make sure that your doctor's explaining to you the root cause, make sure that you're working with people who really care and that you're not just being put in a box. And that's really, I feel like this World Menopause Month is really what it's about, sharing our stories and making sure that we're heard, making sure that people really understand. If we're seeing a doctor, the truth is, I don't know if you guys know this, but less than 20% of all doctors, including OBGYNs, have any training at all in perimenopause and menopause. They have their training in reproductive health, making babies, having babies, postpartum, and that's where the training ends. Doctors like myself have to go to continuing education, specialty training on menopause, on hormone replacement therapy. And we have to do a lot of our own research as well in order to really understand the mechanisms. And so when you go to a doctor and they tell you, oh, hormones don't work, or you don't need hormones, or, you're supposed to feel the way you feel, that's not good enough. Definitely don't stand for that. Awesome. So anyway, I don't want to take too much time with my story, but I'm going to answer some more questions. Let's see. Can you take creams or supplements without having your labs done? My current labs say I'm on track. Well, it sounds like you do have your labs done. I do recommend, with hormone replacement therapy, testing and retesting. So in our practice, we have the Healthy Hormone Club, and that is a bioidentical hormone replacement program and holistic hormone balancing program. And we always start with a test to see where your levels are at. And then we also do a symptom analysis. So we're looking at where your symptoms are based on your current levels. And then we can tweak things, we can add and raise certain levels, keep certain levels the same if they're good already. And then we retest in about 3 to 4 months to make sure that symptoms are improving, and then also that your levels are in optimal ranges. And it's going to be different for everybody. So one dose of, let's say, estrogen for me versus another woman my same height and weight would have completely different results. So without testing, we're not going to know, is your estrogen getting too high? Is it still too low to help protect your bones? Do we need to raise it up a little bit? And so the testing is really important. I don't really recommend doing it yourself on hormone replacement therapy. You can DIY essential oils and you can DIY so many different things. But for hormone replacement, it really is there's a Goldilocks sweet spot. And I really recommend working with a doctor, but it sounds like you do have some current labs. And with your labs, when it comes to hormones, there's different ranges. So you have the menopause range. So anyone who has not had a period for at least 12 months is going to be considered postmenopause. And so there's a certain range that's considered normal for postmenopause. But here's the problem. You can be in that postmenopause range and come up normal on a test, but that range is for women who are having declined health. That range is for osteoporosis, dementia, heart disease, hot flashes, night sweats, weight gain. That's the range for all of those things. So we don't want normal for postmenopause. We want normal for a healthy, functioning woman. And so that's sometimes where things go wrong. And then if you're still cycling, you want to make sure that you took the test on the right time of your cycle and that the reference range correlates with that. Because hormones do fluctuate, but we do have reference ranges for different phases of the cycle. Let's see, my testosterone was low. Instead of giving me testosterone, my doctor recommended bioidentical biased. She said that would convert and help increase my testosterone. Your doctor needs to go back to medical school. So testosterone can convert to estrogen, but estrogen does not convert to testosterone. So if you want to raise your testosterone, there's a couple of different ways you can go. You can go straight testosterone replacement, or you can replace the DHEA, which does convert testosterone at about 50%. And that is usually a little gentler way for women. Women can get their testosterone up to the very, very top of the female optimal range with DHEA replacement, but estrogen does not convert to testosterone. I don't know how they got that wrong, but yeah, estrogen is great to take to replace if you're low on estrogen. Bias is what I recommend actually, because bias means estradiol plus estriol. And that is what your body normally makes. It makes estriol and estradiol. It makes a little bit of estrone. Those are the 3 estrogens that females make. Estriol is very, very protective against breast cancer and uterine cancer. So estriol is a wonderful into the replacement, and it helps to kind of support the estradiol. So I really like replacing the hormones in the most natural way. I love your shiny skin. I think it's the light. I have a light. It's kind of hitting my face, so it's shiny. Thank you. If that's a compliment, I'm not sure. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Asha says, my only symptom is lack of sleep. Oh, we have a visitor. Come on in. Hey.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, here, come on in. This is Paxton. Paxton has a prize patrol today. All right, so what do we want to do today? You just want to pick that person?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go over to the participants list here. All right, let's click it. Oh, here. Oh,
Try to click it.
I try to click it. Oh, I got to click on attendees over here. All right, so these are all the people. What we're going to give away for you guys is we're going to give away a hormone test kit so you can actually see where your hormones are at. This one, we're going to do a saliva test for you guys, but if you prefer a blood spot test, we offer both. Saliva is good because it's super simple. You just have to spit in this tube, and then the blood spot is where you prick your finger and you put the blood spots on the little card. They both would give you your hormone levels, but I prefer the saliva because it gives you free hormone levels. So the only people who I would say don't do saliva is if you are currently taking sublingual hormones that you put under your tongue. What's that? Oh, I'm looking at the camera, yeah. Or if you can't make saliva because of a medical condition, but we're going to give away one of these. So hormone test kit, do you want to pick somebody over here? Oh yeah, we're going to give away that too.
And those.
Okay, we're also going to give away some Glow PM, which is our nighttime formula. And then we're going to give away some Daily Glow. This is our multivitamin with hormone, thyroid, and adrenal support. And then we're also going to give away some collagen peptides from our friends at Native Path. Oh, we won't give that away. Okay. Oh, we can give that away too. Oh, that's a lot of them. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and collagen creamer. This is collagen plus has MCT oil, and it's all super clean, non-GMO, paleo, keto, gluten-free, dairy-free. So awesome. All right. So we got 5. So the first thing, hormone test kit.
I mean, it's fair. We haven't done one of these in a long time.
Yeah, you're right. Jackson loves to give away prizes. So pick someone from over here. All right, Jocelyn Mallory. So Jocelyn Mallory, you have won the hormone test kit. If you can email us at support@glownaturalwellness.com and just let us know I won the hormone test kit, let us know where to send that to you. All right. Okay, next person is going to win, what do we say, is going to win a bottle of Daily Glow. And if you're watching us on YouTube on the replay, put Paxton in the comments and he will pick some more winners.
I don't know what I was trying to do there. Hold on.
All right, Kat, K-A-T, Kat, you have won a bottle of Daily Glow. Okay, now we have Glow PM. Want to pick another?
I landed on the same person.
All right. Oh my God, we have two Karens. Maybe they both have to win. I have 2 Karens right next to each other. So if your name is Karen and you're watching right now, we have, was this for Glow PM? You both want a bottle of Glow PM. Okay. Because I don't have any way to distinguish. All right, one more prize. Our collagen peptides. And we'll save the creamer for the replay, okay?
Okay.
All right, collagen peptides. Big bag of collagen peptides. They're super clean from Native Path Collagen. You guys will really like these. They mix in super fast into your drinks. All right. Oh, do it over here.
I know I am. Stop breathing into my ear.
Sorry. Here you go.
The other Taryn.
No, we already did the other Taryn. Okay, Deborah Shadwick, you won the collagen peptide. So anyone who wanted anything, again, email support@glownaturalwellness.com. Let us know what you won. Let us know what you won, and then we will send it to you with if you give us your address. All right, Paxton, thank you so much for being the prize patrol. All right, we're gonna finish our recording now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Paxton loves giving away prizes. So if you're watching the replay, put the name Paxton in the comments, and he will pick some more prize winners. All right, let's see. I think I had another question I was starting to read. Yeah, is it best to do a urine test for testing hormones or blood? So urine testing, dry urine testing, like the Dutch test, is wonderful for looking at your hormone metabolites, how your hormones break down, your cortisol, but it's not the level of hormones in your system. It is the level of metabolites. So it's the byproducts of your hormones. So I don't recommend using that test when doing hormone replacement. If you're not doing hormone replacement, you can use the test to get an idea of ballpark where your hormones might be, but it's going to be different than like a blood test or a saliva test or a dry blood spot test. Now with blood testing, that can be fine, like a serum test, that is fine. But once you start replacing your hormones, if you're replacing your hormones topically, like with a cream or a gel, that will not show up on the blood test. And so you want to use saliva or dry blood spot, which is capillary blood, to monitor topical hormone replacement. Oral hormone replacement can be monitored in blood. I'm just going to take a sip of my drink. Can I order a test and have a consult with you postmenopausal 5 years? Yes. I will put a link to, yes.
Have a good time, everybody.
Okay. Can you go close the door? Thank you, Paxton.
Have a good time, especially the 2 parents because there were 2.
Okay. All righty. He said, have a good time, everybody. So yes, you can. We have a hormone trio test that you can purchase, and then you can purchase a consultation as an add-on to that. Or if you know you want hormone replacement, you can also simply join our Healthy Hormone Club, and that includes the testing, the consultation, and the hormones. But I will put a link with the replay when we send out the replay to this tomorrow. So you'll have that link if you want to purchase that. Let's see, I'm 66 years old. Had a hormone panel done July. The results are progesterone 15, progesterone estrogen ratio 10, DHEA 1.3, cortisol normal. Okay. I don't see estrogen. Do they not test your estrogen? Progesterone is also kind of low. Progesterone is really important for brain health and brain repair. They didn't flag it as low because of your age, but it's still important. Let's see, cortisol, it was normal for morning, noon, evening, night was high. You might just want some adaptogenic herbs. It's like they tested 1 of your thyroid, 2 of your thyroid hormones, but not the rest of them. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're just asking for my analysis or well, it looks like you might want to get a more complete thyroid panel to test your free T3, and then also test your estradiol too. That would be important. Okay, I will let Paxton know you guys thanked him for picking you. What do you think of 24-hour urine testing? Again, I think it's fine if you want to get a baseline. We personally don't use that in our practice. It's not really standard, gold standard with hormone replacement practitioners to use 24-hour urine testing for monitoring hormone levels, but it could be good if you want to do, I use the Dutch test, which is it's not 24-hour, but it does a morning, like upon waking, mid-morning, noon, and evening cortisol, and it kind of gets your readings throughout the day. So it looks at your cortisol pattern. So that could be super helpful, especially if you are suspecting adrenal dysfunction. Also, it looks at melatonin. It looks at your metabolites of your hormones, how they're breaking down, which I think is important because hormone metabolism is super important to look at. So, are you breaking down your androgens down the more androgenic pathway, which would mean if you replace your testosterone, you might have issues with facial hair or hair loss or weight gain. And so therefore you'd want to use something that push the pathway down the less androgenic pathway. And in our practice, we like using herbs for that. Herbs like saw palmetto, pygeum, and nettles will push that pathway. And then the same thing with estrogen. If it's breaking down the more carcinogenic pathway, you can use some DIM, you can use some B vitamins, you can use some things like NAC to help push that path down the less carcinogenic pathway, the healthier pathway. So in our practice, in our Healthy Hormone Club, we monitor those things as well with symptoms. And I always recommend anyone who's replacing estrogen to go ahead and take DIM, because that's just going to kind of influence healthier estrogen metabolism. And I actually include that in my Daily Glow multivitamin that for everyday use. So that we kind of have that base covered. Any naturopaths do hormone testing if I ask? I think naturopathic physicians, if they're naturopathic physicians, anyone who's a naturopathic physician, a medical doctor, should be able to order a hormone test for you. Whether or not they understand how to read it might be a different story, because not all naturopathic physicians are trained in hormones, but they should at least have a basic understanding to let you know where your levels are. Let's see, I'm taking oral estradiol and a small dose of progesterone. I'm really sensitive to progesterone. I have so much swelling in my feet and sometimes my hands and my breasts. I also take Levoxyl 75 micrograms. What is causing the swelling? I didn't have it before the hormones, so I feel much better on hormones. I would maybe recommend a different type of progesterone. Looks like you're saying you're taking progesterone drops in oil. I know there are some practitioners that there's a topical progesterone drop that's in oil that is manufactured for topical use. And I know some practitioners are recommending their clients use that orally. That's not meant for oral use. So just make sure that look on your bottle of your progesterone and see if it's actually meant for oral use. That might be why you're not feeling good, because if you're taking something that's not meant to be put inside the body and only meant to be used topically. So you might want to switch to a topical application and you might not have those issues. If I live in New Jersey, can I see you as my doctor? We do have a Healthy Hormone Club, which is our hormone replacement program. If you want hormone replacement, we do have openings. We are accepting people into that program. You won't be working directly with me. You will be working with our hormone specialists who are registered nurses and trained in hormone replacement. My only symptoms are lack of sleep, dry skin, hair loss, bad eyes, nothing major. Lost my periods in April of 2022. I was concerned at first. What do you suggest for newbies? Oh, I'm concerned as first time. All right, so you're not quite in menopause yet, because menopause is 12 months without a period. So you're on your way. You're still considered perimenopausal. You are having some symptoms. For me personally, everyone has to make their own decision about what they choose to do for their health. But hormone decline not only causes symptoms, day-to-day symptoms that you're going to feel, like the insomnia or the hair loss or the dry skin or the wrinkles or the belly fat, but it also causes the deterioration of your other systems. So it leads to more rigid blood vessels, which can lead to inflammation of the blood vessels and arteries, which can lead to heart disease, high cholesterol, stroke, things like that. Estrogen is responsible for the use of glucose of our brain cells. And so when women go long periods of time without estrogen, like years into menopause, there's plaques that form in the brain, and that can cause brain fog, memory loss, and even Alzheimer's and dementia. And then also our bones are very, very dependent on our hormones in order to stay strong. And so we see a lot of osteoporosis as estrogen decline is carried on for longer and longer. And then also estrogen is protective against many types of cancer as well. So my opinion, like for my health, I had my son, as you know, as I mentioned earlier, when I was 40. So I'm 48 now, he's 7. And, I want to live a very long time. I want to see him grow up, graduate college, have kids, get married, have children, and I want to be there, and I want to be active, vibrant, and strong. And so I'm doing everything in my power to keep my body and my mind as healthy and youthful as possible. And so I will be on hormones as long as I can. And I think that that's one of the tools that I can use, along with a healthy diet, along with daily exercise, along with getting outside in the fresh air and the sunshine, stress reduction, meditation, all the things. And hormone replacement is definitely one of them. When you think about it, when someone's thyroid stops working, we replace the thyroid hormone. When someone's pancreas isn't making enough insulin, we replace insulin. But when our ovaries stop working, we don't replace estrogen and progesterone just as a standard of care. And the reason for this is just the science, and more science is coming out now, but it wasn't too long ago that we would pass away not long after our last menstrual cycle. So living to 60, 65, that was pretty normal not too long ago. But now we're living to 80, 90, 100 and beyond. And so it's just not possible to live healthfully all those years without deterioration, without our hormones. And not to mention anxiety and depression are issues that come with hormone decline as well. So, I mean, you can make it without hormones, but it's so much easier. And the studies show that women on hormone replacement therapy live an average of 9 years longer than women who aren't on them. The studies show that it's protective against breast cancer. And even if you are on hormone replacement therapy and you should get breast cancer, you have a much higher chance of beating the breast cancer, have better outcomes than women who haven't been on hormone replacement therapy, less chance of dementia, Alzheimer's. And so, yeah, I think that there's a benefit definitely to replacing your hormones to healthy levels. Now, it's really important I say that, because there's a lot of women that come to us and their hormones are through the roof. Their doctors have them on ridiculously high levels of hormones, and that's not healthy. I mean, we're talking healthy levels, physiological levels, what the body would have made at like age 30, 35, just normal healthy levels of hormones. That is what is protective. So you don't want to go excessive, because excessive can cause problems. Hormones are very Goldilocks: too much bad, too little bad, just the right amount. That's what's good. And if you take DHEA, does your adrenal stop making it? No, your body will still make cortisol and DHEA. If you're taking it, you're just going to be supplementing. And a lot of that, if you're taking it topically, a lot of that is going to be converting to testosterone. Now, if you have healthy levels and you have healthy testosterone levels, then you don't need to take DHEA. So you definitely want to test. What type of estrogen do you prescribe? So I like doing estradiol with estriol in combination. So a bias combination. I use topical estrogen. Never use oral estrogen, because that causes problems. The metabolites that are caused by the liver can cause issues that lead to disease. So you don't want to take oral estrogen ever. You can do a patch, you can do a cream, you can do a gel, you can do vaginal estrogen. So we do a combination of a topical cream and vaginally applied estrogen in our practice. And not everybody will get both. Let's see. I'm 64, no postmenopause issues except osteoporosis, which has been discovered by chance. Since you mentioned that you suffered from neuropathic pains, I would be glad if you can detail about the treatments that have helped you with that problem. I'm not diabetic, have no low vitamin and no hormone issues. I started to suffer from neuropathic pains suddenly following a severe viral respiratory infection almost 3 years ago. I also have severe muscle loss and weakness. I'm taking gabapentin without visible results, and many vitamin supplements, things like that. So I was given something that has the same mechanism as gabapentin, but as soon as I read about it, I came off of it because, and this is when I was in school, because it's very dangerous. Gabapentin can cause a lot of neurological issues, brain issues, and even death. And if it's not helping, I'd recommend getting off of it. There's no like one cure for it. I need to know a lot more about your health history and a lot more about what's going on. So I don't really have an answer for you, but I would definitely talk to your doctor and say, hey, the gabapentin is not working. And there's a lot of possible side effects. There's actually class action lawsuits against the makers of gabapentin. So I would maybe switch the therapy there. And it seemed like it was associated with the viral illness that triggered something, could be some type of autoimmune condition, but you may test your hormones too, and you may benefit from the anti-inflammatory properties of estrogen. You may just check that estradiol 1.5. Okay, that's not horrible. Your estradiol at 1.5 is not horrible, but if you have symptoms, we'd look at your levels, then we'd look at your symptoms, and then we'd see if we can give you a little top off or a little tweak to your hormones. In our practice, that's what we do. Topical or oral DHA is fine. There's nothing wrong with either. But when we're using it to boost testosterone levels, topical seems to work better. And it's also, like I said, it has no burden on the liver. It also has no influence if you have any gut issues or digestive issues. There's no issues with losing it, and you can take less. When you do topical, you can take 5 times less than when you're using oral, because it goes straight into the bloodstream and the tissues and doesn't get lost through the digestive process. Let's see, I'm 51 and I'm experiencing longer than normal menstrual periods, 12 plus days. Is this normal for perimenopause, which is the stage I believe I'm in? It's quite annoying. Is there anything you can do to change this, or should I stick out until those full 12 months of no period? So generally what happens in perimenopause is, for most women, this is not true all the time, but generally speaking, progesterone will start to decline first. And progesterone is the hormone that thins out the lining of your endometrial lining. So estrogen builds it up, progesterone thins it out. So if you're having really heavy bleeding, chances are your progesterone has dropped, but your estrogen hasn't dropped yet. So first line of action, I might recommend progesterone replacement to see if that helps to lessen the bleeding. But yeah, to ask if it's normal, it is pretty normal to have heavier periods, closer together periods, possibly 2 periods in the same month, and then they'll start stretching out. But if you're bleeding for that long, I don't know if it's a heavy bleeding for all those days, but if it is, you could be losing a lot of iron, a lot of nutrients, so you could be starting to go anemic. So I would definitely check with your practitioner, let them know about the length and the heaviness of your period. Consider progesterone replacement therapy. If you're working with a doctor, just ask them to get you on some progesterone, and I think that will help quite a bit. Okay, let's see. In your experience, what does rapidly rising TSH level tell you might be happening to thyroid? So if it's rapidly rising, then something's going on that is preventing your thyroid generally from making a thyroid hormone. It could be an autoimmune condition. It could be a pathogen in the gut. It could be liver toxicity. So it's a good sign that something's going on. Of course, I'd want to know what your other numbers are. So what is your free and total T4? What is your free and total T3? And have they measure your thyroid antibodies? Because that will give us more information. TSH it's basically the message from your brain to your thyroid saying, hey, please make some thyroid hormone. So it's not actually a thyroid marker. It's more of a brain marker. We have seen many cases where gut dysbiosis, meaning an overgrowth of bad bacteria, can send that TSH going up, and that could be the root of the problem. So we're looking for root causes. It's likely stress toxicity, or possibly a medication interaction, or it could be autoimmune. So definitely get the rest of those thyroid markers checked. I'm assuming that you like the use of natural desiccated thyroid in your practice. How hard is it to switch from T4 for 30 years to an NDT thyroid? And do you use Armor or NP? So it's not that hard to switch, and because we know the equivalent of whether you're on just T4 medication, synthetic T4, if you're in a combo T4, T3, we know what the equivalent is in the grains of the Armor or the NP thyroid or the nature thyroid. And so it's not that hard to switch, but if you're doing well on your current medication, synthetic thyroid hormone, there's not the same problems with synthetic thyroid as there are synthetic estrogen and progesterone, because synthetic thyroid is actually the same chemical structure. It's actually kind of bioidentical. It works the same as your thyroid hormone, but the synthetic estrogen and progesterone, the reason why those are not good is because those are different. They actually are not the same. And so they act differently in the body. First off, if you want to switch, it shouldn't be a problem. Just work with your prescribing practitioner and they will be able to switch you over and monitor you and adjust dosing as needed. The benefit that you're going to get is you're also going to get some T3. The Synthroid or the levothyroxine, that is just T4. And so you're not getting any of the T3. So if you have any problem with that conversion, making that conversion to T4 to T3, then you'll get that benefit when you're taking the desiccated thyroid. Let's see. Sorry, I came in late. I've been in menopause for years, looking into bioidenticals for belly fat and hot flashes. Yeah, so you will definitely see the hot flashes, help with the hot flashes sooner. And with belly fat, I always like to tell people, hormone replacement therapy is not a fat burner. So it's not going to melt the fat, but what it does is it actually allows your body to stop that continual storing of fat, and also will help you to reduce the inflammation, help your body to know that it has its own estrogen, so it doesn't need your fat to be an estrogen factory. And so it allows that to happen. And then you do still have to do something to burn the fat. So you do still have to get some exercise. You do still have to make sure that you're eating an anti-inflammatory diet, but it makes it so much easier. And then the other thing with belly fat is also a lot of times women experience belly fat because they become testosterone dominant. Now, even if their testosterone is not high, when estrogen and progesterone drop rapidly, testosterone can kind of stay where it is. And now the body becomes testosterone dominant. And that is what causes sometimes that belly fat. Because, women are supposed to gain weight in their hips and thighs and their butt. And then they're supposed to have like that, hourglass figure. And then men generally gain weight in their belly and not in their legs and their hips and their thighs and their butt. But when we become testosterone dominant, when we hit menopause and that drops, the estrogen and progesterone drop, that testosterone becomes more potent in the body, and we shift to start storing weight. Like we get the dad bod instead of the silhouette, the hourglass shape. And so that's one of the reasons too. So counteracting that as well will help. So yes, both will help. And I think it's 58 is a great time. Let's see, I have uterine fibroids, started bleeding 11 months ago and been anemic. Yes, all started been in menopause for years. Doctors saying hysterectomy is only at this point. It's never the only option. What I found to work really, really good for cysts, fibroids, any type of growth, abnormal growths, and whether it be in the uterus or in the breast tissue, is castor oil packs. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with castor oil packs, but all it is organic castor oil. You put it onto a natural cloth, like a wool, organic wool or cotton, something that's natural and clean. You soak the cloth in the castor oil, fold it up, and then you put it over the area. So whether it's over your abdomen or over your breasts, and you just let that sit for, a good hour. And it helps to kind of like break down those fibroids. And that's a great thing that you can do. Also, making sure that you're not estrogen dominant, even though you are in menopause, you can still have more estrogen than progesterone, especially if you have a little extra weight on you. That can be another reason why you have more estrogen, or if you're exposed to a lot of xenoestrogens in the environment, phthalates, BPAs, chemicals, aluminum, metals, those can kind of keep your estrogen higher. Or if you have chronic constipation or your microbiome is off, you may not be excreting that estrogen out of the body. You could be recirculating it, and then you can still be kind of estrogen dominant, and that might be what's causing the bleeding. Now, if you're in menopause and you've been bleeding for 11 months, you definitely want to talk to a doctor. It looks like you have, and they recommend the hysterectomy. It's up to you at this point. Definitely it's a personal decision. The reason why they're going to go and recommend hysterectomy right away is because you're in menopause, you don't need to have babies anymore, you're having this bleeding, it's easy to take it out, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Which there's something to be said for that. But if you prefer to keep all of your body parts, there's other things you can do. You might want to look at, taking some progesterone, balancing out your hormones, and doing those castor oil pots can be helpful. And if that still doesn't work, then you can still consider the hysterectomy or other things. But generally, fibroids will go away on their own. I do have a blog post on my website about natural solutions for fibroids. And so there's just some natural things you can do to kind of help reduce them, because they can shrink on their own, depending on how big they are right now. Awesome. Let's see. My TSH is 51. My free T4 is 1.6 and my free T3 is 2.6. I feel my free T3 is low. My question is, would taking liothyronine, a small dose, help with this? Yes, it would. So taking some T3 would help. So with T3 under 2.9, you're usually feeling like crap. You're usually feeling tired all the time. You might be gaining weight. You might be cold. You might have constipation. Your skin's probably dry. Your hair is probably falling out. Less than 2.9 for most people is the bare bottom. For me personally, I have to be up closer to like 3.9 in order to feel decent, not to have joint pain, to feel my best. And so that's why there's ranges, and your best is going to be somewhere in that range. And you might know, you said you feel like it's low, and so that's true. Yeah, I think a small dose of T3 medication would really be helpful for you. And you want to make sure that when you take it, you want to make sure that you're not getting like rapid heartbeat or starting to feel agitated or stressed. That might mean it's too much. So you just probably need a very small dose. It definitely will help with energy, definitely will help with hair. Let's see, I don't sleep well now. So you want to make sure you take that T3 in the morning and not at night, because it can kind of like keep you awake if you take it too late in the day. So first thing in the morning. And then I'd recommend some melatonin. Our Glow PM supplement is great. It has melatonin, 5-HTP, which turns into serotonin, which is your happy hormone, which turns into melatonin. It also has like lemon balm and chamomile and L-theanine and some B vitamins. It's like nice, calm, relaxing. This is really great. So I'd recommend that. So follow you on Instagram, Facebook. How do I join community to get started? Oh, so Kat, if you go to healthyhormoneclub.com, that's going to be if you want to sign up for our Healthy Hormone Club. If you go to fixhormones.com, that will take you to our masterclass that will explain everything you ever want to know about hormone restoration. It'll talk about standard of care in medicine. It'll talk about what we do in the Healthy Hormone Club, and you get a discount on the program. So check that out, fixhormones.com. Yeah, and if you have questions, you can always email support at Glow Natural Wellness. That is my team. We have the most amazing team of dedicated, caring, loving hormone specialists that you can ever ask for. Our team loves their job. They love working with women, helping the hormones, and they get excited when they get those emails. My hot flashes are gone. I'm having sex with my husband again. I got a promotion at work because I can finally think straight, or I just feel like myself again. All of these things like lights us up. It makes us want to like say, yeah, we come to work every day and we're like, yes, women are feeling better. Women are being heard. Women are getting what they deserve. And so that's what makes us excited. Awesome. All right. I think I got through all the questions. Now, again, if you are watching on the replay, if you are watching on the YouTube channel, please put your question in the comments below. And I do get a notification. I do answer all the questions. So, and if it's an in-depth question, we'll make a whole new video on that topic. So thank you guys so much for showing up today. If there's ever anything I can do, please let me know. I think I answered all the questions. If I missed you, please email me at support@glownaturalwellness.com and say, Michelle, you missed my question, and I will answer it. And if you want a prize, email support@glownaturalwellness.com. Give us your name, give us what you want and give us the address to ship it to you. And if you're watching on the replay, put Paxton in the comments and he will pick 3 more people to win some amazing prizes, including another hormone test kit. All right, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.